Spirits of French Lick is proud to introduce the Matty Gladden Bottled and Bond Bourbon. This 4-year aged bourbon is double pot distilled and non-chill filtered, and has a full-bodied mouthfeel with eucalyptus, molasses, clove, ginger, and slight citrus as well as grains of paradise. The finish is long and reappearing on the back of the tongue with notes of pepper, tobacco leaf, and mint cream. All of our spirits are available for tasting and purchase inside the French Lick Winery and Distillery. Spirits of French Lick. Respect the grain, please enjoy responsibly, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Here we go. What?
Whoa.
Wow. What is... Holy man. I was pushing the volume button without knowing it. Show me the way to start a podcast, please. I think I hit the whiskey bar in the Mueller whiskey bar a little too hard and heavy.
I can't believe you did that, Tiny.
I can't either. It's like
turn down the
it's like
volume.
the volume on the portable speaker just a little
It's just like
we
whoa.
we got such great
Whoa,
special
where did
effects. Yeah, exactly.
What did we screw up now?
Yeah, it's just like start. This is going to be effed up from start to finish. All right, so let's try where we are. We are now brought to you.
Welcome, folks, to the Scotchy Bourbon Boys podcast.
I'm Tiny.
And Young Nose.
We are here, and we are brought to you by the Spirits of French Lick Distillery. Spirit of French Lick is leading the way for Indiana distillers by bringing the artisan distilling industry and its inseparable history back to the southern region of Indiana. Their goal is to represent both the quality and the history of Hoosiers distillation, presenting an untold and ever-unfolding story about the nature of distillation in the state while exemplifying and expanding upon what the industry has evolved into. The Spirit of French Lick brings the Scotchy Bourbon Boys weekly to you, and we'd like to thank Alan Bishop and Jolie, our friends at the Spirit of French Lick.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Jolie, for your support here on the Scotchy Bourbon Boys podcast.
That's going to get better, folks, but we are so excited that we get to do that.
In time,
made me laugh.
In time, it'll sound professional, and then it'll just be boring. There's another plug.
I don't think it's ever going to be boring. It's
No,
just exciting when you
that's
get your.
true.
I don't think so. That brings us to the weekly podcast. This week is pretty exciting. We are going to be.
We got some delicious lineup going on here, Tiny.
I think we are going to be covering in the next couple weeks. This is the week past Thanksgiving. We record a week in advance, so we're getting excited for Thanksgiving. And we haven't been used to recording a week in advance, so we completely missed that it was Thanksgiving, so we are thankful.
Yes.
and in past tense, because by the time you hear this, it will be over.
We have been thankful for everything. We're thankful for all of our good friends that we've met throughout the years. Alan and Jolie down at Spirits of French Lick. Martin Nash, of course.
Greg Schneider. Doc Whiskey, yes.
Yep.
And
there's so many to name, we'd be here all night.
Yeah, Xavier, we miss him. He's still recovering. He's almost recovered, I think. I think he will be joining us on a podcast or two coming up soon.
All right.
And then Sandy No, the Bourbon Queen.
Yes.
Along with Randy Frosty, who is El Presidente.
El Presidente.
And now we got Kunze. I was talking to Kunze this week. He contacted me, and we had tasted that full proof, and he was just still remembering what that tasted like, and we're going to be tasting that at the December 12th Scotchy Bourbon Boy meeting.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This week, the Zoom research will be done, and we will be then offering, I believe, up to 4 tastings that will be purchasable. That you will get what we're tasting at the meeting and a tasting mat to taste along. So that should be going up at the beginning of December. I got about a week to do that. Once that's going, we haven't decided what and how it's all going to work, but there's going to be shipping involved, and we got to get that tasting experience there. And then
get the material out.
When we're doing the meeting, we will have the laptop set up to do the camera so that anybody who purchases that will be able to taste along. We're kind of excited about that. I don't know if anybody's actually going to want to do that, but hopefully they do.
I'm sure somebody at some point will be like, yeah, I want to come along.
Yeah, and then Super Nash is going to be coming into that meeting on December 12th. He's coming in a couple days early, so I have some time off, and we are just going to bourbon down and rye bourbon search the state. So that should be pretty fun.
You're going to search for rye bourbon?
We're going to be searching, rye whiskey. We are the Scotchy Bourbon boys, and that
You're
means
on
we
the
drink
hunt for
all
some rye.
whiskeys.
Some rye that Tiny likes?
So that leads us into that this week, again, we are really starting to increase our membership, so I'm really excited to go over the new members and give them a huge Scotchy Bourbon Boy welcome. Congratulations on becoming Bourbon Boys. Mark Ninow, Brad Talkington, Andrew Yan, I believe he's from Osaka, Japan, Matthew McGee Barker, Matt Jackson, Jackie Lynn, Bud C. Oakley, Steve Davis, a.k.a. Skinny, Aliana Brown, Christy Atkinson, Mike Wilkes, and Chuck Boswell. We are very excited to have you join us. Hopefully that you could become, an active part of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, either online through the group or actually come to a meeting or two. So that's something that we look forward to, and it's kind of cool that our membership's in, really kind of going pretty quick, 2, 3, 4 people a day. So
it's definitely taken off there, Tiny. So everyone that was mentioned, thank you for joining the Scotchy Bourbon Boys group. We're glad to have you on.
And that brings us to where you can find the Scotchy Bourbon Boys and what we're doing. Do you want to take that tonight?
I'll take that one tonight.
Just let's see what you got.
Okay,
let's see what you got, because there's a lot.
There is a lot. So we're going to start with the obvious. Obviously, we're on Facebook. We have the group we just mentioned. We are the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're on Facebook. We also have a page there. Check us out. Like us on the page. We are also on Instagram at the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We are on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel at the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We are also on Twitter at ScotchyUp. We are online. We have the website www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Got that one.
Yeah.
We are all over podcasting software, streaming. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are on iHeartRadio, we are also on Alexa, we are on Google Podcasts, and have we managed to secure Pandora yet, Tiny?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
We're getting close. Now, did you go, I was searching for my
Your glass.
My whiskey glass, which was tipped over, but it's a Glencairn, and it didn't spill underneath the table. That was from when I tripped earlier, which if you become a Patreon member, you will get to see that exclusive content trip.
You get to see Tiny fall on his face.
It's just, oh my God. Anyways, so
I was getting there next. That was going to be the next one. Actually, was the Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, we have our first Patreon participant. I heard a posting chip.
Oh, that would be I think he didn't actually officially become a Patreon member, but he ended up with a posting trip. Mike from Gervasi, hoping that he bartends over there and also helps run the Still House, one of our favorite watering holes in Canton.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
for sure. They've got a really nice thing going there, and they're hopefully they can make it through all this bullshit that's been going on. But we were there just last night, and I figured that a posting chip for him would be very beneficial to the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, because if he's posting different bourbons and what's going on at Gervasi, tying us to that, and then it's through Gervasi, it can only be good things that will happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's see, where else did I miss, Tiny? I'm sure there's some stuff.
Did you
that
do
I
the
didn't get.
email, how people can contact us?
No, I didn't get the email.
That's the Scotchy Bourbon Boys at gmail.com.
Yep.
And you also did the website, correct?
Yes, I did.
You
I
got that?
I
You
got
got
to the
Patreon?
website, and then the Patreon was next.
I think that covered it. You had
pretty
an
much
Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah.
Parlor.
Yeah, I didn't get that one.
Well, yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys on Parlor, so you can find us there. You can find us on Twitter, but he said at Scotchy the. I still like that. I wish everything was at Scotchy the, because
I
Scotchy the
prefer the
is the way.
back patio as opposed to the parlor.
But I prefer to parlay instead of tweet. It's just, and I don't want to retweet. I want to go. Anyway. So with that said,
We are everywhere.
so tonight we got a really kind of cool lineup. I think we're gonna stick to. We did larceny on our whiskey live tasting, which turned out to be a disaster. Fucking disaster. And yeah, it was, but overall it went through. We did it. We lived. We learned, and hopefully this Friday we're going to be tasting. Actually, I'm not even going to mention that because this is for next week, and this will be gone by, so we don't have to. We're going to have to get up our game on advance notice by weeks so that we can get that into the podcast, because it won't run. So don't worry about the whiskey live tasting. We'll have that for you the next podcast about when it is on the first. Yeah. We do a whiskey live tasting on the second and fourth Fridays of every single month. So we will let you know what the second one is in the next podcast.
Yep, and that is on Facebook Live, obviously. We primarily post it on Tiny's personal Facebook page, but it is then shared to all of the groups and shared to the page. So anywhere that you can find Scotchy Bourbon Boys or anything bourbon, whiskey related, you'll find the Whiskey Live there also.
All right. Well, anyways, the larceny was last week, and now we're going to stay with the Heaven Hill Distillery. And I even think we're going to go one step further next podcast, and we're going to do Evan Williams will be coming up. So maybe that'll have something to do with the tasting. We'll have another tasting on the second, but second Friday. But tonight, coming to you, special bourbon tasting tonight. Wouldn't you say?
Very, very special. There is some very good lineup on that table over there.
So what we've got is Elijha Craig, and we have all the expressions of Elijha Craig available at this point in time in the current year of 2020. The first tasting that we're going to do tonight is the Elijha Craig small batch, the standard Elijha Craig that can be tasted neat or is fantastic in an old fashioned or a Sazerac or whatever drink of your bourbon drink of your choice. Elijha Craig, I find, is my go-to. I had a 1.75 that I finished off this weekend, and I then cracked my fifth over here, and so it basically has been, I think, the two that I've enjoyed the most for making the mixed drinks are the Elijha Craig and the Evan Williams.
Yeah, I have to agree. They are very, very good for mixed drinks. Or, like you said, neat or even on the rocks. I mean, it's just very, very good classic bourbon.
Then we will be tasting the unbelievably good tasting Elijha Craig Toasted Barrel. The Toasted Barrel is fantastic stuff. Oh my God, it's so good. And then, after that, we will be tasting the Elijha Craig Foolproof followed by the single barrel Elijah Craig 18 year, which all of them are very good bourbons. I think, though, the three will leave the Elijah Craig small batch in the dust.
Yeah.
So,
Most likely, but I mean, when you get into foolproof toasted barrel, which is unique to the Elijah Craig, and then a single barrel 18 year, of course, the standard Elijah Craig is probably not going to compare too much.
no, the small batch and the toasted barrel, which we'll taste back to back, are both the 94 proof. Then you get into the full proof, which then we'll be tasting, and then the Elijah Craig single barrel. That one, I'm not sure. I have all the info on it as we go about. So we're gonna get ready. But now, as I start to get the bottles over and get them ready for pouring, you have some information on Mr. Elijah Craig himself.
Yes, I do. Let me bring it up here. So, alright, so this article is the true story of Elijah Craig from Sam Komlenik, the writer for the Whiskey Advocate website. So this is from Sam Komlenik of thewhiskeyadvocate.com. So the name Elijah Craig adorns some of Heaven Hill's brand's finest bourbons. In fact, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof was named Whiskey Advocate's 2017 Whiskey of the Year. Like many whiskey namesakes, Elijah Craig is a real historical figure. The label of Elijah Craig's small batch states that he was the quote-unquote father of bourbon, but does he really pass the paternity test? The claim derives from the History of Kentucky, published in 1874 and written by Lewis and Richard Collins, which reads, "The first bourbon whiskey was made in 1789 at Georgetown in the fulling mill at the Royal Spring." Notice Elijah Craig isn't mentioned here. However, in the two paragraphs just prior to this quote, the Colonnais write that Craig was responsible for building the first fulling mill used in the creation of wooden cloth at Georgetown, also in 1789, and the first rope walk necessary for making rope and paper mill as well. So although Craig isn't mentioned by name specifically, it is implied that he is the person in question. How do Colonnais substantiate this claim? There begins the ambiguity. It's a fun word to say, ambiguity. So, who was Elijah Craig? Elijah Craig was born around 1738 in Orange County, Virginia. Moving to what is now modern-day Kentucky in 1782, he was ordained as a Baptist minister in 1771 and preached the gospel almost until his death in 1808. He was obviously a true entrepreneur on the American frontier and was responsible for promoting the success of industry in the budding Commonwealth. He is recognized by the Colonnais as the founder of Georgetown. All of this makes Craig a well-known and influential figure. None of this, however, makes him the father of bourbon. If Craig was distilling this early, he was likely not alone. By 1789, there were other distillers in the area who also would have been using indigenous corn and other crops to make whiskey. Why have we not remembered their names? Maybe simply because they didn't run other major businesses or have the influence and notoriety of the Reverend Elijah Craig. But there is evidence that many other early settlers were distilling whiskey.
There you go, right?
Yep, there's some more on other early distillers, but it doesn't really mention Elijah Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I think that covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely very important, very noticed, very, the word they used there was, notorietable. It had notoriety.
Yeah, and on the on some websites he is credited for putting his distillate in charred oak barrels. Now, he's like credited as the first person, but we all know, all of us whiskey experts, that nobody really knows where it started. He did do that, but we don't know if he was the first or why he did it exactly. So that's the history on Elijah Craig. Now we have the small batch in our glass. You kind of heard that while Young Nose was giving us that history. And I have some information from Breaking Bourbon tonight. All of the critiques and the nose and just the overall tasting notes that we get from the internet are coming from Breaking Bourbon. Thank you, Breaking Bourbon. We love what you do, and we love the notes because I think usually if you get the right batch and the right bottle, you're right on your what you do as far as tasting. So, with this Elijah Craig, we have to explain the barrel bashing system.
So the barrel bashing rating system that we use here for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys is a total bashing of 16 barrel bangs. So 16 barrel whacks.
Yeah, what we have tonight, we have a bung hammer.
Yes, we actually have a hammer tonight.
Well, yeah, a bung hammer.
Yeah,
What,
right.
what more did it need to be said? I don't know why. What? Shit. We haven't even started drinking, really, and it's like we're...
Anyway, so we do a total of 16 barrel bashes, 4 bangs for each category, which would be the nose, the taste, the body, and the finish. Somewhere within the barrel banging, we are also allowed to give one special bonus of a but-up for one of the 4 categories. Total bang score of 17 out of 16.
A possibility.
Unless you're the little book at Sandy Nose Man Cave, and then he gets an 18 out of 16.
It should have got even a 40 out of 16. That night, that had everything to do with great bourbon and a great time, and so the time added 20 to the score. I will never forget that little book tasting, that is for sure.
So with that said, we are starting off with the Elijah Craig Small Batch 94 proof?
Yes, 94 proof, and oh yeah.
I had to throw that in there.
I don't even know where it came from. We haven't even drank anything.
I had a sippy sip of some old 55 before we started.
Yeah, I do know that. Thank you. Thanks to
to
Jason Fruits. Thanks to Jason Fruits of the Old 55 Distillery. Now, Elijah Craig. Now we were talking about. We were seeing some. What would you say? Some information on Elijah Craig 12 year. But in 2016, Heaven Hill removed the Elijah Craig 12-year age statement, and they backed it off a little bit, and everybody thought that dropped it down to like an 8-year. But then what happened is it lost its age statement after it lost, and then it went down. Heaven Hill chose the latter path and began blending a younger stock into its non-age statement small batches. Basically, they make, Elijah Craig is no longer a 12-year whiskey, obviously. And it is mixed with some of the younger barrels, but it has a distinct taste that's pretty good. So here we go. The nose from Breaking Bourbon is vanilla, caramel, nut, and oak pop out from the start, sweet and light at first. These flavors slightly intensify with time in the glass. On its own, the nose is slightly above average and enjoyable, but also quite simple. All right, I'm going to nose this bitch.
Nose that sucker.
You know what I'm getting? Vanilla toffee. Straight up vanilla toffee. That's what I get. And I get just vanilla toffee with a little bit of a burnt caramel.
My initial smell on this was a cherry vanilla with maybe a little bit of like an acidic kind of a smell. So it kind of smelled like cherry vanilla Pepsi.
I could get a little bit of cherry out of it. All right, so now let's do the palate. The amount of flavors are on the thin side, with healthy amounts of oak and vanilla dominating. The bourbon has a nice roundness to its mouthfeel, and it makes the joy to sip. But it's more of a blunt oaky and sweet vanilla flavor hit than a complex array of flavors. That said, it's an enjoyable sip.
I definitely get the vanilla. I definitely get the oak. I really don't get much more than that.
It's very smooth.
It's very smooth.
A nice hug.
I get where Breaking Bourbon was saying about thin flavors because it doesn't have a very, very full mouthfeel.
It's not
The flavors are just simple, but it's delicious.
Yeah, yes. And then I think the finish is nice on it. There's a little oaky sweet, a little bit of it, but the body is lacking severely as far as that goes. So the finish is cinnamon oak aftertaste that does a good job lingering long after the sip. Mild heat intensity is adequate as it is satisfying, but overall the finish is average at best. All right, so let's bash. Let's you gotta get the hammer.
We gotta get the hammer going.
We'll pass that. Yeah.
The hammer.
That's not the hammer. That's the hammer. Get that hammer. We're using the bung hammer tonight, my friend.
We're actually using the hammer.
Yeah, we should. Here, I'll hold your stuff.
Okay, here, hold these books.
Holding. I got the books.
Oh.
He's getting it. This is on YouTube, so just so you know, you're trying to do this with eloquence.
Oh.
Yeah, everything went everywhere. His earplugs were popping out. He can't hear me. It's just like, oh, yeah. But we have the hammer. He's barrel bashing away there. All right, you probably got to.
You gotta be careful with this.
You got to be careful.
I know.
I'm not gonna bash anything. It's over by you. You know that.
Not only that, but yeah. I already broke one barrel.
Yeah,
you
that
don't
was
need me to break
stretching.
the other barrel.
Yeah, you just.
I stretched the
just,
F out of it.
Yeah, but just hit it lightly on the side. There you go. All right, and you act like it's hard to bat. You broke a barrel? How did you break a barrel? You're in the distance there. All right. Stop breaking those barrels, young nose. No, right. Hit it like right there. Yeah, that actually sounds exactly like hitting it. Oh, the bung popped right out. Good job. All right, so I would say let's hit the nose on this one.
Alright, I'm not using the hammer on this one.
You're giving it a 0?
No. I mean, give me the other one.
The other what? The other hammer?
Give me the smaller hammer. Yeah.
That sounds like a drumstick.
Because it is.
Did you just give the nose a 4? What the shit?
No, you get more sound off of that with the bung hammer. It doesn't actually work. This isn't.
Know what the bung hammer sounded like? You hit a barrel. It sounded awesome on
Tiny.
this.
Tiny.
All right, let's focus.
We don't have a barrel.
Yes, we
We
do.
have a bongo.
It's a barrel. The bongo is a barrel. Look, that's a barrel. There's a barrel on the side. Just turn it sideways, and it's a barrel. It's technically a barrel. Let's put some bourbon in there and see.
It does have a.
Yeah, it does. It has. We could char that bitch,
It
and
does have some stave-like features on the inside.
there is no doubt that is a barrel. Yeah, I don't know why you're like telling people that's not a barrel. A bongo is technically a barrel. Bongo barrel bash.
But I'm still not using that bung hammer. You get no sound off of it.
Okay. So the nose. I'm gonna give this nose it's what I want in a bourbon, and I enjoy it. But I give it a 2.
I would have to second that. It is a very simple nose. It's nice and delicious. It's sweet. It's not overpowering on one flavor or the other, but it is very average. So it gets a 2.
Now let's go for the taste, the palate. I taste the vanilla. I taste a little bit of oak, a little bit of caramel, but it is not. It's pleasant, and once again, I give that a 2.
It's a 2. So the palate is pretty much like the nose. It's vanilla, it's oak, and that's pretty much it.
I think Xavier's going to be giving these all 4 because they match up.
I gave it a 2.
Okay, so then we come to the body. The bodies are I think it's my favorite feature of a bourbon. I like big body, and this body is.
He likes big body. You
lacking.
cannot lie.
So after the second sip, it almost got my first 0, but I give it a 1.
Oh, 1.
1.
The body is hard to really discredit because we've had so much exquisite bourbon. It's almost like we're expecting that full flavored mouthfeel. It's not bad. It is thin in.
It's got
your
some
mouth.
legs.
It's got a little bit of
It's
legs
okay in the glass.
but it's definitely not full mouthfeel. But it's not unpleasant. It's not very oily or anything like that. It's not so
Buttery.
light. It's not so light. It has a light creaminess to it. So I would give it somewhere between a light to a medium body. So I give it a 2.
You're kind.
It's average.
It was
It's
the
not
body.
below average.
For me, it was below average. I just was like, the taste was there, but it just slid across your tongue and went down your throat. No cheek, no roof of your mouth, no back of your throat. It just wasn't there for me. It was why I got a 1 is because it held up pretty good in the glass. I almost gave it a 0.
It's still a pleasant sip.
Wait.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying like
So
no cheek, no mouth. It slides past.
the strong point of this bourbon becomes the finish.
Yeah, I disagree.
Because I think the finish is it's. I'm going to give the finish a 2.
You gave it a 2.
That's with all said. It's not bitter. It's like I haven't given too many. Normally, if there's a big body, and then it hits the finish, and the finish is warm like this is, and then it's bitter, I'll give it a 2. But in this case, I almost want to give it a 3, but there's no taste left. The heat's there, but there's nothing. Like nothing.
Right.
You know, I'm expecting, like, where's the oak? Where's the sweet oak? Where's the little bit of vanilla? Where's the cinnamon? The cinnamon's there at the start. There's no doubt, like they said, but it's a 2. So I give this a. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you gave it a 2. The finish for me is pretty much like you said. It's disappointing. It starts like it's going to be cinnamony sweet. It has the very vanilla flavor, but then it just quickly dies out. It lingers with oak. It lingers with a little bit of warmth. But like you said, there's nothing left. There's no taste. There's no little surprise at the end there. So I actually think this is the downfall because the nose and then the initial taste are pretty good. The body, okay.
Body's
It's
the
not.
downfall.
It's not a very thick body, but it's not the thinnest body. It's not like a Scotch oily, but
Oh,
it's
we
still-
just lost our special there.
it's still bourbony.
Turn on your. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
That's
yeah.
for YouTube. We lost our
We lost our
light
special
timed
lighting.
out. Yes.
So, but I actually give this finish a 1.
Alright. So we give it both a 7 out of 16.
Yep.
Actually, a 7 out of 17.
Correct.
Alright. Now,
Well, a 7 out of 16, but a potential 7.
so down that, so I can.
Do I have to?
No,
I'm just kidding.
I'll wash out your other glass. Give that to me. Okay, so I'm going to wash out Young Nose's glass while he reads about Heaven Hill.
Yes.
We have something while here, drink your water so you get a little bit of hydration.
Yes, I'm going to drink my
And
water.
then while he's reading that, I will fill us up with the Toasted Barrel.
So, the Heaven Hill Distillery, the Heaven Hill Company, was founded in 1935 by Gary, Ed, George, Moses, and David Shapira, and is operated today under the direction of second and third generation family members. The distillery near Bardstown was founded in 1890. Today, production of the company's wide range of whiskeys is done at the Bernheim Distillery in Louisville, which was bought from Diego in 1999. 3 years earlier, in 1996, Heaven Hill had suffered a huge fire that almost destroyed the plant. Heaven Hill is the nation's largest independent, family-owned marketer and producer of distilled spirits products. It stores in excess of 600,000 barrels in its traditional ironclad warehouses in and around Bardstown. And a state-of-the-art visitors center is also sited on the edge of town.
We were there.
Heaven Hill specializes in higher proof, older bourbons packed with complexity, full traditional body, and a spicy, sweet character. Its extensive portfolio of splendidly affordable specialty bourbons includes whiskey that belong in the cabinet of every serious drinker, including the Evan Williams Single Barrel, the super premium Elijha Craig 12-year, Rittenhouse and Pikesville Supreme Rye, Fighting Cock Very Special Old Fitzgerald 12-year, and Bernheim Original Wheat Whiskey.
Oh, wonderful.
So, did they say that what we just drank was the super premium, or is what we drink not the 12-year anymore? Because of what you had mentioned with the age statement.
Yeah, it's not the same as the 12-year. That's why we have the 18-year. So they went to every year they introduce another expression, and then then they come up with the next one. It's interesting, but they had gone away from it. So 2, 3. Okay, so I've got this done. I at least got my papers after tripping and falling and mixing them up. So right now we have the Elijha Craig Toasted Barrel. Now the Toasted Barrel was introduced in 2020, so we don't have Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible critique of it. But we do have the critique off of the Heaven Hill website. Now, the Toasted Barrel is the same mash bill. And we didn't go over the mash bill of the Elijha Craig initially, because on all of these, the mash bill is the same. 78 corn, 12% malted barley, and 10% rye. Now, I do enjoy, this is a rye bourbon, but it's not a high rye bourbon, and I enjoy the fact that the corn is up, and then the malted barley is up, and then the rye is the 10%, the smaller, the least amount of the particular grain. So that's one thing that I like about it. Now, the release date of this Toasted Barrel was September 2020. So that's really pretty cool
recent, yeah.
kind of thing. So once again, thanks again to Breaking Bourbon. We have the nose, and what Breaking Bourbon comes up with is the toasted marshmallows, rich caramel, vanilla, and baking spices make for a sweet and inviting note. Light undertones of oak, summer fruit, and Granny Smith apples are also present, but need to be teased out with a swirl of glass and a deep inhale. The apple notes the apple note hints towards a presence of acetylenhide. However, if it is present, it is a welcome amount that serves to add more dimension than anything else, rich and appealing overall. So let's nose this baby, because that sounds like a complex nose. I get the apples, there's no doubt, straight up. I get the same vanilla caramel that I did on the Elijha Craig initially, but undertones of that. There's a green apple.
Yeah, I definitely don't get the cherry on the nose.
No cherry on that.
It's definitely a lot more caramel vanilla rather than just oaky vanilla.
Oh, I got a really rich toffee, like a Brock's vanilla toffee. I just right at the end that, almost like even a coffee, like it went from caramel to caramel coffee. Very, very, very nice nose. I really love this bourbon, and this bourbon has been open, and the Elijha Craig's that we tasted tonight has only been open for about a day or two. But this toasted barrel from the start has been fantastic. I've been cherishing every pour. This is a very, very good bourbon. So that's been.
I really enjoyed the nose on this one. It definitely is at least a one-up from the other Elijha Craig. But
No, I think this is one of the more complex noses where every time you get another taste of or nose of something else.
I definitely get a blend of the baking spices.
Yeah.
I definitely get some cinnamon. I definitely get some nutmeg. I'm burping today. But I definitely get a lot of caramel, a lot of vanilla, a lot of baking spice. I don't quite get the apple. I can kind of see it maybe there on the back end.
On mine, I got the apple, but I'm not getting the toasted marshmallow. Maybe that's what I was. They got toasted marshmallow, and I got the Brock's caramel toffee, which was almost coffee, which they could have been saying that it was a toasted marshmallow. So, anyways.
Yeah.
But
I definitely get
so
rich sweet smell.
All right, so the palate. Sweeter flavors of graham cracker, chocolate, and caramel contrast nutmeg and pepper spice notes. A touch of seasoned wood is evident, but in fleeting. The presentation of flavor is characteristically sweet and quite enjoyable. And there is a graham cracker finish on this that is so graham crackery that you want to dance. It's right there on the back. I just taste.
I don't know about you, Tiny, but graham crackers don't make me want to dance. They make me want to dip them in milk.
Yes, but why I want to dance is because to really pull out the taste of graham crackers out of whiskey is a feat that is very difficult to do.
I would definitely agree with that. But yeah, that is definitely on the finish for the graham cracker.
Yeah.
But the taste is a very good follow through on the nose. Xavier would be ecstatic about this. It is initially vanilla caramel. It definitely has some oak
Coffee.
It definitely has a lot of baking spice flavor to it.
It's about 20 different Brock's candy. There's like 10 of them.
Get off the Brock's, Tiny.
No, there's vanilla. There's almost the citrus, like there's the orange one. It's like caramel, toffee, Brock's. There's even chocolate there. There's some chocolate in there.
After the taste, go back to the nose. You definitely get that caramel coffee smell.
Yeah. It's spectacular.
It makes me want to brew it.
All right, the finish. A blend of rye spice is followed by a rich caramel brown sugar sweetness, fireball candy heat, along with hints of tobacco and oak lightly tease the flavor, taper off. The finish is slightly dry with tannic, more so than is found with the standard small batch with a slight blemish to the experience, it's still an acceptable finish overall. I think they're full of shit. It's not acceptable. It's actually quite pleasant. It's not acceptable is the wrong word. I mean, this particular bourbon, the fact that all they did was toast the barrel before they charred it, and then they put it in there, and this is what they come out compared to the Elijha Craig.
Yeah.
It's like they should stop making the Elijha Craig and just make the toasted barrel. And I don't understand why it has to go from the Elijha Craig is a $28 bottle, and this is a $50 bottle. I don't understand what the just because you toasted the barrel, toast them all, and keep it at $28, and get rid of the Elijha Craig and just make it all toasted barrel. Because toasted barrel is a premier bourbon.
That's
There's
a pretty bold statement, but yeah, that's why it's $50 a bottle. It's because it's a premier bourbon.
Yeah, but if they toasted all the barrels, God damn it, Heaven Hill, you motherfuckers, toast all the barrels.
So toast them all.
Yeah, we don't need the Elijha Craig anymore. We just need Elijha Craig toasted barrel, and I want it at $29.99.
Good luck with that one, Tiny.
Yeah, it's just I demanded something.
Now
I'm a
you just
Scotchy
made
bourbon
the price
boy.
rise up another $10 a bottle just because you said that.
Maybe when we do our
All
first,
right, Tiny. This is what you
wait.
get: $60 a bottle.
well, maybe Heaven Hill will host us for we can go and do a barrel pick off of the toasted barrel. That would be fantastic. It's coming,
you just
people.
made me wet my pants.
I need some pizza. God.
Yeah, where's the pizza?
Where's the
There should have been
Where's the Bobo Za?
Boboza. All right.
All right. So let's rate
rate
it.
this.
Let's rate it.
All right, I'll go first. The nose is definitely more complex than the Elijha Craig small batch. The baking spice notes to it, the added caramel flavor to it, definitely brings it up. It's probably not the best nose. It's very, very inviting, very complex, and you get some new flavors after you get into it, after you're drinking it. Drink some, but I give it a 3.
I don't think in a whiskey that when I think of a good nose of what I want is that this presents that, so I'm going to give it a 4. Now, taste.
On to the palate.
The taste is, in my opinion, the weak point of the bourbon, and I give it a 3. Because the reason why I give it a 3 is because I've tasted a little bit more sweeter, richer, that little caramel where it's just like caramel. This is very light and airy, which is a good. I mean, this is the same proof. It's a 94 proof. So
what was the aldehyde or whatever it was that Drinking Bourbon mentioned?
they said.
Because I kind of get something right on the back end of the taste there that's almost like a little shaky of it's supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
The acetaldehyde.
Yeah.
Acetaldehyde.
Whatever that
Whatever.
is. But I kind of
Okay.
get that in the taste rather than in the nose.
Acetaldehyde.
There's just like some sort of like
Oh,
alcoholic,
there we go.
vaporous something at
Acetaldehyde.
the very back end of the taste. As soon as you go to swallow, it's just like, I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not, but it's not very powerful, so I'll just let it go.
Yeah, but at the same time, it adds to the complexity.
Right. No, I'm
Like
not
they
saying
say.
that it's, I'm just saying like I can kind of get
I said
something
it.
in there.
Acetaldehyde.
No,
No, acetaldehyde. I said it.
You settled it.
Acetaldehyde. Motherfucker.
Alright. So you gave it a weak 3, is that what you said?
Yeah, a week 3. What do you give it?
On the taste, it's quite common. I get, on the initial taste, I get caramel and vanilla, which is a little added to the other. I get an oak, and then it goes into acetaldehyde, whatever you say.
Acetaldehyde.
Yeah, whatever that taste, smell, whatever it is. It just seems like it shouldn't. It just seems like it shouldn't be there, but it is. But it's just so subtle. It's like, okay, I'll just ignore that.
Yeah,
but
that's complex.
So it is complex, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I don't like that, so I drop it to a 2.
You need to hammer that out.
I hammered it out.
You need to really hammer it out. So the body.
Are you saying I should use the bung hammer?
You suck. You made me choke on bourbon.
On some good bourbon. Take that, Tiny, with your toasted barrel comment.
I did give it a 4 and a 3. And I'm going to give the body a 3 again. It's a rich body. It's really cool. And you should have that. I got the digital 3. Your phone gave me a digital 3.
That wasn't my phone. That was your phone.
That wasn't my phone.
That wasn't
My phone's right here.
Well, mine didn't go off. Then it was Stefan's.
I don't even know.
Anyway, the body on this one is.
Who the hell is Stefan?
He came.
No, stop.
No.
Wait, no.
That's not where I was going.
Yes, go with the body.
The body is very similar to the Elijha Craig small batch. It could be the fact that it's still 90 proof. It's not a full proof bourbon, so I don't really get that full mouthfeel. It may have a half a notch above as far as the mouthfeel because it really holds on to flavor within the mouthfeel. So it bumps it up to a weak 3.
All right. So the finish. Once again, the finish is long. It's added a taste. It's a little woody. As they say, there is caramel, brown sugar, the fireball candy I get when I choked almost to death on it. And then the finish is slightly dry and tannic, which brings it down to a 3 for me again. So the toasted barrel, I love this bourbon. I love to drink this bourbon. That gives me 3 3s and a 4. So that gives me 13 of 16.
You gave it a 3 on the finish?
Correct.
The finish for me on this one is more than the last one. It definitely was not deserving of a 1. The finish is a lot more flavorful. It is there. The heat is there. So I bump it up to the 3.
Did you finish? Okay,
It's
you
gone.
finished. Okay, so what did you give it? I gave it a... Here's your water, hydrate.
6. I gave it an 11 out of 16.
And I gave it a 13. 9 and 4. Yep.
So what did you hand me this for? Am I reading this?
Yeah, you're going to do this part because I got a 4.
Okay. So up next we have the Elijha Craig
Full
barrel proof coming in at 127.2 proof, but not really. We actually have a 136.9.
Yeah, well this is 136.8.
Oh damn! I was off by a tenth of a proof.
68.
Damn!
68.42 ABV, and it is batch C919.
C919.
It is awesome! Don't miss out on the C119. It is what you want to drink now.
Anyway.
Did you still have to drink your water and hydrate there, young nose? You fucker. You got 2 glasses of water. Just give me one. Yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to chug it just like that for all you YouTube viewers. And then, here, I have another bottle of barrel proof, courtesy. Now, tonight.
Why am I getting all this water?
Yeah, because you need to hydrate so that you can be sober. Okay,
Right,
we are drinking from Glencairn's, courtesy of Martin Duffy, the Glencairn glass representative for North America. Martin Duffy is also a Scotchy Bourbon boy and has done a lot for the Scotchy Bourbon boys on hooking us up on how to get our own Glencairns and also in meeting people in the industry. After the first of the year, we are going to concentrate a little bit on Scotch because we are the Scotchy Bourbon boys. And for the last year and 3/4, it's been pretty much bourbon with a little bit of Scotch, a little bit of Irish whiskey here. But I think we're going to go, because the Scotch aspect of whiskey is expensive. So we are going to start to concentrate a little bit there more towards Scotch, and definitely Martin Duffy will lead the way for us. Now,
yes.
so
Turning it back over to Tiny.
No. The full proof, the toasted barrel, and the 18-year are all brought to you by Martin Duffy. No, not
Martin
Nash.
Super Nash.
Super Nash.
Super Nash.
He is. Take it, young nose. Are you going to give him the ABV?
I'm not going to give them anything.
He's our sponsor.
Other than a shout out.
No, give him a shout out for his business. Gosh damn it. I threw it out there and you missed it. Strike one. You bastard. What the shit? I threw it out there. You always do this part. How is this not happening? We love you, Martin.
Because he's laughing along with us, and
Yes.
I know that. Martin Nash is the owner-operator of AB Fire Extinguisher Services. He hooks you up anywhere from fire extinguishers to overhead hoods, OSHA compliance, anything in between that relates to you and keeping your safety when it comes to fire.
If you're on YouTube, I'm about to put my overhead hood on.
Why?
I got my... Whoa!
You just dropped your ears. Anyway, AB Fire Extinguisher Services, Martin Nash services the North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia areas. He will hook you up on all and any of your fire safety needs. Look him up, AB Fire Extinguisher Services.
Yes, we love you, Super Nash.
And on that, I'm dropping the mic.
It's time for you to read the tasting notes. What we have the full proof, the barrel proof. It's Elijha Craig barrel
Elijha Craig, barrel
proof.
proof.
136.8.
And it's time for Tiny the Young Nose to go.
It's 9:12. Hurry up. Let's go.
Barrel proof was first released in March 2013. Because it's barrel proof, the proof varies from batch to batch. To help identify each batch in 2017, Evan Hill started adding batch information to each bottle. The first letter of the batch number indicates which of the year's releases the bottle is a part of, starting with A, while the second digit is a number that determines the month of the year the bottle was released. The third and fourth digits indicate the year.
C919.
So
There you
the third release in September of 2019.
This one, that's what we're tasting.
That's what we're tasting. So the bottle being reviewed, oh, that's the one they did. That's the one we're doing is September of 2019.
Correct.
So Breaking Bourbon's nose is a burst of sweet caramel and graham cracker, is complemented nicely by aged oak, rich and delightful. The aromas form a near perfect balance. Despite the bourbon's high proof, ethanol doesn't impede any of the scents found in the very enjoyable nose.
The nose on this one is exactly that, but there's cherry. The cherry has returned that was in the small batch, slightly, it's strong. Dried cherries. I get that dried dark cherry with caramel, graham cracker. That is a 4 nose. Okay, what do you got for the palate, man?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Pecan pie. So, is she gonna come and take pictures of us? no, she wants me to come out
Okay.
right now.
Well, we gotta hurry then because we got 2 more to go.
So the palate is toasted marshmallows that mingle with a charred oak, caramel, and sweet burnt brown sugar note. I totally get that, other than the toasted marshmallow.
I got the toasted marshmallow straight up on the top.
The bourbon has a heavy body with a robust underlying structure, reminding you that it's barrel proof, yet allowing the flavors to rise above the proof. This trait helps set it apart from many other high proof bourbons that struggle against their naturally infused heat, other than Bourbons.
This is straight up fantastic. All right. So, in honor of John's wife, who is waiting in the driveway, I will give you my straight across. I give it a 3 on the nose, 4 on the taste. I give it a but up on the body.
So with the 4.
A 4 with the but up. Do the but up. And on the finish, I gotta drop it down. It's a fantastic long finish, but just a little bit of bitter oak, so it drops back down to a 3. So what did I do? 6.
So 3, 4, 5, 3.
3.
So 7 and
12, 13, 14, 15 out of 16.
That's pretty darn good.
It's a fantastic bourbon, folks. This is a good barrel proof. What are you giving it, Mr. Young Nose, so we can...
Okay, Young Nose, straight across, straight up, no holds barred. The nose definitely deserves a 4 on this one.
That's why you're Young Nose.
That's why I'm Young Nose. It's so good. The taste is also a 4. It is very, very good. Very full, very rich, very caramely, vanilla. It has a slight cherry note to it. It's very good. The body, I don't get the full body feel that Breaking Bourbon is describing on this one. It may be the batch. It's been pretty consistent across with the body, but it is a little bit stronger than the Elijha Craig small batch, which I gave a 2, so it is a 3. And the finish is also a 3. So I gave it a 14 out of 16.
Uh-oh.
And I do not have enough time to stay for 18 years. So Tiny will have to conclude you on this episode of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys.
All right. I will finish up and put us out, and sayonara, Young Nose. So, we are down.
But I will be back to try it.
It's in your glass. You should just chug it.
Oh, yeah. This one right here, the Wilderness Trail.
Yeah, that's it. That's the 18 year.
Yep.
Oh my God, the 18 year.
It's so
It's got some
oaky.
floral. It's got some citrus. It's got some honey. It's got vanilla custard. Oh my God, that's a 4 on the nose. The palate. Let's taste it. Holy shit!
Wow.
What the hell was that?
What happened?
There's honey and brown sugar.
I get rose petal.
As Breaking Bourbon says,
Oh my
equal amounts of
gosh.
vanilla and oak form the palate's foundation with light brown sugar, caramel, and fruit salad.
Fruit salad is for
like
sure.
pop of sweetness joining in. The oak remained throughout, but it's kept in check to the palate's fruitier side. The result is a very likable, medium-bodied palate with a crowd pleaser in heart. The taste is a butt up. So the nose is fantastic, which is a 4. I give it a butt up on the taste. And then the finish, the body is not as good, so I give it a 3. So we're 4, 5, 9 plus 3.
I give the butt up on the finish.
The what?
I give the butt up on the finish. This has such a nice floral, fruity. It's almost like a Scotch finish minus the peat. But added some.
I can't. I'll give the finish a 4.
Yeah,
it's a
so
sweet whatever. So what do you give it? Total, I give it a 4 on the nose, a 5 on the taste, a 3 on the body because. So now we're at 4, 4, 4, 4, 12, and I give it 16 of 17.
I give it a 15 out of 16, but that is...
Your microphone's gone. But
yeah, I know. I'm just letting you know, so you can let everyone else know.
We can hear you.
Okay, so I gave it a 15 out of 16. I gave it a 4 for the nose, a 4 for the taste, a 3 for the body, and a 4 for the finish.
You gave it a bump up on 1. So you did the same thing as me, 16 of 16.
Oh,
I heard a bump,
yes,
but
yes,
up in
yes,
there.
yes, on the finish. Yes,
all right,
man.
man.
It was that Scotchy finish.
So as we
16
leave
out of 16.
and Young Nose decides that he's departing, but I
in
will.
the process of departing. I've got
Where
all my
is-
stuff. I need to finish my barrel proof.
Oh, we got it. So we are finishing up another episode of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Good night, Young Nose.
Good night. Love you guys.
I just got a fist bump, and that was on YouTube. But just make sure that you follow along with the Scotchy Bourbon Boys on whatever media and social media you like to follow on. We are at www.scotchybourbonboys.com. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter at ScotchyDub. We also are on Parler with Scotchy Bourbon Boys. You can contact us on email with the Scotchy Bourbon Boys at gmail.com. And you can check out our website at www.scotchybourbonboys.com. I think that covers, also, please support us on Patreon. We are the Scotchy Bourbon Boys on Patreon. You can support us for as little as $3 a month and as much as $250 a month. If anybody is interested, we have
pizza.
We have pizza. We have a Scotchy. We have the program for the SBB sponsorship program, where you can be a sponsor of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. All right, everybody, thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to next week. And with that said, good night.